News Channel 15 presents The Film Reel, the talk show where we discuss everything going on in the world of movies and television, with hosts Bryce West and Ian Lloyd. This is The Film Reel. Hello and welcome back into The Film Reel, the talk show where we discuss everything going on in the world of movies and television. I am Bryce West.
And I'm Ian Lloyd.
And this is the Season 4 finale of The Film Reel. We've got a very special extended edition episode for you all today to commemorate the Season 4 finale. We're going to be reviewing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, as well as taking a look at all of the films that we've covered throughout this fourth season of The Film Reel. But first, let's take a look at the box office report for this week.
Coming in at number 5, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, starring Tom Cruise and Haley Atwell. Ethan Hunt and his IMF team must track down a dangerous weapon before it falls into the wrong hands. The film brought in $10.6 million, dropping 45.2% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Drew Pounton.
Coming in at number 4 is Sound of Freedom, starring Jim Caviezel, Mira Sorvino, and Bill Camp. The true story of a former government agent turned vigilante who embarks on a dangerous mission to rescue hundreds of children from sex traffickers. The film brought in $12.8 million, dropping 35.4% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Ian Klingler.
Coming in at number 3 is Haunted Mansion, starring Lakeith Stanfield and Rosario Dawson. A single mom named Gabby hires a tour guide, a psychic, a priest, and a historian to help exorcise her newly bought mansion after discovering it is inhabited by ghosts. The film opened with $24.1 million. For The Film Reel, I'm Peyton Peters.
Coming in at number 2 is Oppenheimer, starring Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, and Robert Downey Jr. The story of the American scientist J. Robert Oppenheimer and his role in the development of the atomic bomb. The film brought in $46.7 million, dropping 43.4% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Gretchen Owen.
Coming in at number 1 is Barbie, starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. Barbie suffers a crisis that leads her to question her world and her existence. The film brought in $93 million, dropping 42.6% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Tegan Roll.
That's a wrap on Drew Pounton, Ian Klingler, Peyton Peters, Gretchen Owen, and Tegan Rule for Season 4 of The Film Reel. Thank you all so much for helping out as correspondents this season. And also thank you to Mallory Burton, Quentin Watt, Isaac Lloyd, Micah Henson, and Eli Grimes, our director, for also serving as correspondents throughout the fourth season of The Film Reel, helping out with our box office reports.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, we couldn't have done it without you all, so thank you all so much for that. And now let's get right back into it. Barbie and Oppenheimer. Surprise! Yeah, actually, you know what? Is there something you'd like to say to me, Ian?
Bryce,
after last time?
My humblest apologies, my good friend. I am sorry I ever doubted you. I thought something was going to go on with Haunted Mansion, but I guess not.
No, well, I don't know if you remember, Haunted Mansion blew, so nobody went to see it.
Bit.
It opened at number 3, an absolutely abysmal $24.1 million open, about where I expected it to be. In fact, I think I got the entire top 5.
You did. You
from last week.
got it perfect. Perfect score.
So Barbie and Oppenheimer still dominating throughout the box office. It'll continue to do so for the indefinite future, especially with the writer's strike and things getting delayed and just not a lot of great movies coming out. I mean, just in August, this week we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we have the Meg 2.
Yeah.
Those will do all right. But then other than that, we've got Gran Turismo, which trailer looks horrible for that.
It's based on a true story.
It's based on a true story.
Come on, guys.
That's the tagline, or no, that's the subtitle for the movie now.
They changed the movie title.
But anyway, also Blue Beetle, but DC films this year have been doing absolutely abysmal. So I'm sure that Blue Beetle will be the same, even though it looks great. But so Barbie and Oppenheimer, I think that's going to be the ones, the mainstays for a while. Haunted Mansion, spoiler alert, I think it's gone after this weekend. Just absolutely horrible. Sound of Freedom, people keep buying tickets. And then Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, wow. I mean, what a misstep. I mean, the movie itself isn't isn't that bad. I mean,
Yeah.
it's in fact it's decent. Even though I have some problems with it, it still is a good film. But opening it 1 week before Barbie and Oppenheimer was one of the biggest blunders I've seen in a while.
Big misstep
for a major blockbuster, because I mean this should have easily been like a $750 million worldwide gross.
It would have been phenomenal if it was released like even just late June. It would have done so well, but
Yes.
it's so unfortunate.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, this film should have done probably Barbie maybe not Barbie, but Oppenheimer numbers, at least. As soon as Barbie and Oppenheimer came out, it was basically out of here, and it'll probably be out of the top 5 by next week.
I could see it being out.
So for a Mission Impossible movie, for a Tom Cruise movie, that's pretty disappointing, I'm sure, for Paramount, for Tom Cruise, for the crew of Mission Impossible. But I mean, part of that has to do with, these Mission Impossible movies, I feel like really depend on IMAX screens, and Oppenheimer took them all. So,
definitely that's the biggest one. And then also part 1, people are like, oh, part 1, whatever, dude. Can't wait for part 2. It's gonna be a banger.
I'm looking forward to part 2 as well. I think usually with these part 1, part 2 films, part 2 usually tends to be the better one. So I maybe people are waiting for both to come out so they can watch it as one thing. Who knows? But yeah, Mission Impossible continues to underperform. I mean, it's not doing horrible. Like it's doing comparative to the other films that have come out this summer. It's doing okay, but for what the expectations were for this movie, definitely under expectations for sure on that. But now we're going to be moving on to our predictions for next weekend. I know this is the season finale, but we figured, we're going to be talking about these movies anyway, so let's give our predictions for where things are going to go next weekend. I think Barbie will easily continue to be at number 1. The fact that it's the second weekend for Barbie and it grossed $93 million domestically, it'll be a $1 billion film by the end of this next weekend, more than likely. Just absolutely superb. I believe this will be the fastest film to reach $1 billion from a female director with a female lead.
Sounds about right.
Everybody's loving Barbie, so I think it'll definitely stay at number 1. I don't think either of the two films that are opening this weekend will come close. But at number 2, I do have the Meg 2. We won't be covering it today, unfortunately, but the Meg 2 is the sequel to the Meg. It's a giant shark movie. Didn't really interest me. That's why we're not really.
What's this one called? The Trench?
Yeah, the Meg 2, The Trench. I think people will go see that a little bit more than the movie that we will be covering today, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. I think I think this movie will do a lot better than people think, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because the reviews on this are really high.
Yeah.
The highest of any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and it's not even close. Here's the highest rated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie before, and this next one's in Jupiter. I think the word of mouth on this is going to really help out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But it seems like people might be a little more interested in the Meg 2, so I've got it above Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Coming in at number 4 is Oppenheimer. I don't think Oppenheimer's going to do bad this weekend. Because it's Oppenheimer, but it's just there's a lot going on this weekend.
Yeah.
So I think it's just gonna kind of naturally go down to number 4, but I could easily see it coming back up again. Number 5, Sound of Freedom. I think Haunted Mansion is just gonna be absolutely donezo after this weekend. I think last weekend's performance was absolutely just abhorrent. Especially for a Disney film. And then Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning has continuously been under Sound of Freedom since it released, since its first weekend. Or since after its first weekend, you know what I mean? I think Sound of Freedom will come in at number 5. I think it's got one more week in the top 5 and then it's gone.
Okay, that's valid. Number 1, Barbie.
Yep.
It's a hit. Movie this summer. People are going to see it. I think number 2 is going to be TMNT, Mutant Mayhem. I really think this movie is going to, for overall the weekend, I think people are going to come to it in droves. I think it's going to be great. And then after that, the Meg 2, The Trench.
Yeah, I think either of those are kind of entertaining.
Yeah,
it's going to be close.
It's going to be definitely close. I had this one kid come up to me at the movie house yesterday, and he said, dude, Meg 2, this is the second Meg movie. It's called The Trench. This movie's going to be awesome. I've been waiting for this movie. This is the movie of my dreams. I'm so excited.
I never thought I'd ever hear anybody say that ever.
This kid was like 9 years old. He's like, Meg 2, dude.
he's super
He was
Meg
so excited. He couldn't stop talking about it. And I was like, I guess I got to watch this movie now.
Yeah.
This movie looks awesome, I guess. And then Oppenheimer, number 4. Still here. It's still going to be here for a while.
Yeah, number 4 seems low, but I mean, there's a lot going on. So I think Oppenheimer will still do pretty good numbers.
It's going to stick around. And then number 5, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say Haunted Mansion is in number 5. It's going to crawl its way
Didn't
up
learn
to
your
number
lesson
5.
with Haunted Mansion, have you?
Nope, not yet. I'm holding on because I think it's going to hold on to number 5.
How?
And I don't know. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, yikes. All right. Well, I definitely once again disagree with Haunted Mansion. Well, we'll cover we'll discuss that a little bit more whenever we talk about our ranking for all of the films that we covered throughout the season.
Yeah.
But once we come back after this break, we're going to be reviewing a movie that just came out, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem.
News Channel 15, winner of the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System Award for the nation's best community college TV station.
Summer is heating up, and so are the savings at Timberlake Furniture. The 2023 summer sale is underway. Take 23% off of all closeout items. Make sure you have the best indoor escape from the summer heat. Check out our large selection of bedroom suites from the name brands you know and trust. And be prepared to entertain this summer by browsing the area's largest selection of dining room sets. Visit the Tri-State's largest showroom with the largest selection, Timberlake Furniture, so your house feels like home.
Before coming to Senior Enrichment Center, I was so depressed that I couldn't get out of bed. That all changed once I started seeing Danielle, the social worker, and Melanie, the nurse. They have been so kind, and they truly care about my health. They have helped me to be able to go out and have shown me the importance of how to deal with my problems in a more constructive way. I think anyone who is experiencing grief, depression, anxiety, or isolation can benefit from this program. The Senior Enrichment Center has changed my life.
Welcome back into the Film Reel Season 4 finale. Today we're going to be reviewing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. That's a mouthful. But this is the latest theatrical released film in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle franchise. I believe this is the 7th theatrically released Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film. This is the second animated theatrically released Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film. This is helmed by Seth Rogen, of all people.
Yeah, he's the main producer on this.
Yeah, which would have usually been a red flag for me, but this movie is a lot of fun.
Yes, this movie's great.
Yeah.
You'd probably agree. I think this is my favorite Turtles movie so far.
Yeah, I think I'll have to rewatch them to give a definitive answer on that. But this is definitely the highest rated critically, the highest rated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie ever. Yeah. And it's not even close. This one is like to Pluto and back compared to at least the critical reception of the other movies.
It's just an absolute blast. I love it to death.
Yes, I think the animation style on this is really neat. They went back to 3D animation with this one. They did that before with the 2007 film TMNT, but with this one, it feels almost more hand drawn, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's got sort of a Spider-Verse feel. It's not the Spider-Verse style.
Yeah.
Definitely not. I've seen a lot of people say that. It's definitely not the Spider-Verse style.
It's different.
But it's got that sort of 3D animation that is, I don't know how to describe it. It's a very unique style of animation. I think that's why people compare it to Spider-Verse.
Yeah, these filmmakers definitely took the success of Spider-Verse and said, oh, we should run with this and do our own thing with that type of like just experimental style with like mushing like 3D and 2D elements together. And it really works here because I think it takes that kind of grungy like old comic book style and really makes it its own here. And like there's a lot of humans in this movie that has like they don't have symmetrical faces, and I love how just kind of like, I don't know, not dirty, but it's like all imperfect and like very
but on purpose.
Personal. Yes, on purpose. And
it's like a creative design choice.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. Another thing that's really great about this film, I wasn't really expecting the soundtrack. It was really good. Usually, I'm not a super huge fan of needle drops. Just like pop songs or whatever, just like popular songs just being thrown into movies out and over. But they really make it work with this. Yeah. It really, whenever a song, already popular written song is played, it feels like it fits in well with the characters. It feels like it fits in well with the story compared to something like Ruby Gillman that we reviewed a while ago, where it was just like, oh, we're just throwing in this popular song so people come see our movie if they like this artist. Like this, it actually feels like it fits the story, it fits the characters. I really liked it. And also just the score in general was really good. The
score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross of Nine Inch Nails is fantastic. They've been like going so hard recently with like animated features. This one is just, I'm going to be listening to this one so many times. I love the score to this movie. And as you were saying with the needle drops, I found it kind of crazy that they used a few different like songs from like meme culture and it still kind of worked.
Yeah,
somehow.
It did. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Not only did they implemented a lot of just like internet culture things from today. Yeah. But the song specifically they used from like 15 years ago. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy. They used the He-Man song. Yeah. I forgot what they call it, the original.
The Hey Yeah Yeah.
Yeah, but like
I don't know the actual name of it actually, but
they used the He-Man version of that song.
Yes,
they didn't use the actual one.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they used the Push It to the Limit song, which is originally from Scarface, but is more well known in like I think around 2008 they used that song in like a Safety Not Guaranteed meme where it's like, oh, come back in time with me. And it's the push it to the limit. Like that is straight up like old.
And now we're gonna do
culture.
A cover live.
But it's these melt together perfectly with the film because it's like that kind of style of like, oh, these are kids, they're hanging out, they're fighting crime, and this is what they think would be cool to listen to.
Well, throughout the whole film, they kind of do this to where it's like they're constantly like referencing things. The Turtles have this weird fascination with Mark Ruffalo, of all people. I guess it makes sense. He played the Hulk, that he's green. They're constantly like referencing things in like pop culture and like teenage culture, like Gen Z and stuff like that, and it doesn't feel forced, it doesn't feel cringe somehow, because almost every time that a movie tries to do this, it is. I don't know how they were able to make it work per se, I can't really describe it, but it just works here.
Yeah, I think it's just, it's so great that these characters that we've seen for like 40 years now, it seems like, they're finally feeling like teenagers.
Gosh, I think it is 40 years.
Yeah, these characters, like, most of the other movies and shows they've been in, they really do feel like early 20-year-olds, you know? They feel like adults. This one, they feel like they're teenagers. Yeah. And that they don't know what they're doing, but they want to be cool and they want to, like, prove themselves. And it's such a great dynamic. And I think all this stuff with, like, just new references and internet culture, I think it works because, like, the older movies had kind of the same thing going on with their time. So I think each one's kind of like a period piece in that way.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. I heard behind the scenes information. At least the four main turtles recorded all of their lines together in the same room, which is abnormal.
That's great.
Which is not normal for animated films like this. Usually each actor just records in a booth by themselves for the whole movie, and they don't meet their co-stars until the very end. But with this, all four turtles actors all recorded in the same booth together, and it really shows because their friendship really shines throughout this. There's one scene in particular where the Turtles are just kind of like bantering with each other, and you can tell that it was just like full improv, just those four guys just kind of just like, you know, just spitting things out, see what works. And it worked. I mean, you could tell that these four actors actually became friends, and you could see that come throughout their performances in this animated film, which is something that is just so impressive to see. I mean, that's not something that you see very often.
No, I had no idea they did that. That's perfect, because just hearing their dynamic and their relationship together in this is just so fun and so charming. It really like pulls it all together. Do you want to talk about the villains a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk about the villains. So they did
so good.
I mean, we can't really get into spoilers about the villains too much, but what they did with the villains was super weird. But I kind of liked it.
They brought in like all the...
Without spoilers.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be...
They brought in like a ton of unknown like mutant characters from the comics and like all the, the other medias and stuff.
Yeah, unknown to the general audience.
Yeah. We usually get like Shredder as like the main guy, or like maybe Kang as like a side villain. But we never really get to focus mainly on just like mutants.
Yeah.
And I think it's so refreshing not to have Shredder as the main villain in this movie. I love it so much. It's more down to earth, but it still feels in the wheelhouse of this like weird, grimy New York.
Well,
vibe.
and it makes it has this interesting dynamic to where the villains are going after this same exact thing as the Turtles are, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. The Fly is a great villain. We get Bebop and Rocksteady, I think, for the first time in a theatrically released film, which are two of the most popular Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle villains. So it's really insane that this is the first time that they're appearing.
We got like a different variation of them.
Well,
in, like,
okay, and
Secret of the
Teenage
Ooze,
Ninja 2,
but like they're different characters.
Yeah, they're different characters,
but yeah, whatever.
But yeah, so we get to see them like for real this time in this, played by Seth Rogen and John Cena.
Perfect.
They're not like super huge major characters, but they're definitely there. But the Fly is the main star in this, and I think he was a really great villain. I liked his sort of dynamic between him and Shredder. Splinter. Because like I said, they were going after pretty much the same exact thing, but were going at it complete opposite ways, and I thought that was a really cool dynamic to see.
Superfly just like so menacing, played by Ice Cube, and he's like such a great performance in this. It's so good.
Yeah,
and
probably my favorite vocal performance out of the film.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
I loved how he was able to portray the character, and then also with the Turtles. So this is actually Ian and I kind of disagree a little bit on this, so we'll debate it a little bit. But this is the only thing that I kind of have a gripe with about the film, is sort of how the Turtles themselves were handled. So I mean, Leo is definitely the star of this film, and then the three others are kind of there. I mean, Leonardo, I mean, he is kind of the one who's like, he has a crush on April, which, by the way, I love April in this. This version of April is really cool. How she's kind of like helping them throughout, like making the story, the news story and stuff like that, to try to, make them popular, But Leonardo is kind of the only one who really gets a major focus. And honestly, Leonardo is kind of the only one that really feels like himself. The other three just kind of feel like three Mikeys. Like Donatello still seems to be a little bit like the intellectual, nerdy kind of guy. Raph still has a little bit of his like anger side, and then Mikey is just kind of there. But it seems super toned down, which I don't really think I like too much with this. Leo feels perfect. The other three I thought were kind of underwhelming. I didn't really think they really got to do much. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I definitely agree that this is Leonardo's story. I think he's the main character in this.
Which inherently isn't bad.
No.
Yeah.
No, I like that they focused mainly on one character because that kind of opens up a sequel to focus maybe on one of the others.
Yes. Which if they do that, then I would like that. But
I don't really agree that they all feel the same. I feel like each one, this might be like some of my favorite characterization for these characters because, like we were saying before, they get brought into like our modern culture in a very smart way. Donatello is like
Donatello. I will give you Donatello. He was the best out of the other besides Leonardo.
He's very nerdy. He's like into like all these like animes and like just
that was
like
fun.
Science fiction, and he's like just super into it and passionate about it. And Ralph is just really funny, like headstrong and just ready to like get angry whenever he wants to. Maybe not angry is the right word. He's just really pumped up to like just get loud and fight people.
Yeah.
And then I do kind of agree that Mikey didn't really get much to do.
Yeah, he just feels like he just is there to exist because he always has.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't really get to really do anything. He doesn't really add any sort of archetype to, because usually Michelangelo, you know, is like kind of like the comic relief or like the, you know, kind of the more dim-witted one, but like kind of all of them besides Leonardo feel like the comic relief of this.
A little bit.
So Mikey doesn't really have his thing.
Yeah, Mikey definitely doesn't have like, well, throughout the film they're like, oh, Mikey, you're great at improv, you love improvisation, and like we only get that like once or twice. I wish that was like throughout the whole film, like he was like cracking jokes or like coming up with different situations. But I do kind of like this more subtle tone to Mikey overall, other than just being the one that's always funny compared to like kind of the three like others that kind of play it straight, you know?
Yeah.
I'm glad that like he's not Mikey's not held with the burden of being the one goofy dude.
Yeah, I mean, like I definitely see that.
Yeah.
I just think, and overall, I mean, great. This is a great film, and these are great characters.
Oh yeah.
But I think compared to other characterizations in the past, I think these are a little weaker for me. I just don't think their characters, except for like Leonardo and maybe Donatello, they really got to like shine at all. Okay. I like the different takes that we got with Splinter.
Yes.
I thought that was really interesting, especially seeing his relationship with the humans and why he's so overprotective of the turtles. I really liked this new version of April. I mean, April's always been this like sort of like journalist kind of person, but I mean, if we're gonna have a romantic relationship with the turtles, she definitely needs to be a teenager. So I'm glad that they aged her down to be the same age as the turtles. Even though it is kind of weird, still weird to have a romantic relationship between April and a turtle, you know, that's still a little odd. We don't really get that in this. I mean, Leonardo definitely has a crush on April, but we don't really get to see them go full on into it. But I really liked, especially how she helped them out at the end. I think she was able to be a really good asset to the turtles without being in the action. I thought that was pretty impressive how they were able to do that, because a lot of times it's just like, oh, they just threw this character in. But no, she actually was very involved throughout the plot of the story without having to be involved in the action.
Yeah, I think she was great in this. I love her design. I love her voice actress, Iowa Debris. She did a fantastic job. She's an upcoming actress, and she's been like kind of playing so much this year. And I just love seeing her and everything. I think overall, I know you might disagree with this, but for me, like with the younger ages that these characters are playing and the younger voice actors and their different personalities, I think this might be my favorite characterization for each character in the main lineup.
I mean, I could definitely see that for some of them.
Yeah.
I think Mikey, definitely not.
Okay.
Raph, not quite, but you can make a case for Leonardo. You can make a case for Donatello. I think April O'Neil definitely.
Yeah.
Splinter, it was pretty good in this too. But yeah, I think overall, I was really, really impressed with this. I mean, I like from the trailers, I'm like, okay, this looks great. And then the reviews started coming out, I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be really great. And you know what? I wasn't disappointed. I think this is a really fun film to end on here with the Film Reel Season 4.
Yeah, I've always had trouble getting into this franchise, but like this one, while I was watching it, felt like the perfect encapsulation of everything this series has going for it. I think it's a blast, and you should go watch it.
Yeah, I mean, we've already got a sequel in development. We know who the villain's going to be. No spoilers, but and they're also working on a Paramount Plus series with this version of the Turtles. So there's a lot more coming with this this specific series and this franchise. So yeah, definitely get excited for that because this movie is absolutely phenomenal. With that being said, we're going to take another quick break, and after this, Kane Jones is going to wrap things up, giving his top 10 movies of all time.
811, if you're not familiar with that, it's a Julie program in the state of Illinois. It's actually nationwide. But that's a free service. The utilities take care of that. Customer wanting to dig or plant flowers or fence posts or something like that, call that service, give us 2 business days, that's the law, 2 business days notice. We'll come out and we'll locate all the underground utilities in your area and make sure that you know where you're able to dig and you can dig safely, and we're protected and you're protected that way.
For over a century, the First National Bank has been here, serving our local communities. We're proud to still be locally owned and managed, with friendly customer service from people that you know and trust. We're here to support our neighbors, investing in our communities. We're proud to provide the latest in digital banking technology, serving as your complete financial partner. Visit us online at fnba.bank or stop by one of our convenient locations in Allendale, Mount Carmel, Carmine, or West Salem today. The First National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
College doesn't have to start at an expensive school far away. You can save money and be close to home at Wabash Valley College. Many careers only require a 2-year degree or certificate. Or get your general education classes out of the way and transfer to a 4-year school. Wabash Valley College has programs in high-demand careers such as physical therapy assistant, advanced manufacturing, marketing, business management, nursing, and radio television. To find out more about Wabash Valley College, go to iecc.edu/WVC.
News Channel 15 presents The Film Reel, the talk show where hosts Bryce West, Ian Lloyd, and Kane Jones give you the latest news in the world of movies and television. Join us every Friday night at 6 to know the greatest things to watch this summer. It's The Film Reel on News Channel 15. Now, more of The Film Reel with Kane Jones.
Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Kane Jones, and this is my last segment for Season 4 of The Film Reel. And I'm going to break down my personal favorite top 10 films of all time. So let's get into it. We're going to go in reverse order, starting at number 10 with a biopic, and that is Lincoln. Lincoln, a fantastic film from top to bottom. The one and only Daniel Day-Lewis portrayed our 16th president of our nation, and he gave an incredible performance. And just the cast, this movie actually had an exceptionally large cast, very diverse, and just, you know, and it was about Abraham Lincoln. And Daniel Day-Lewis just gave a stellar performance in this film. And so I had Lincoln sitting in the last spot at 10, at the very bottom. Now, moving into the 9th spot, I wanted to have a film that starred Leonardo DiCaprio, because personally, he's one of my favorite actors of all time. And it was pretty hard because he's got so many great films, right? So I went with The Revenant. The Revenant is the one that gave him his very first Oscar. This film was so creative, and just from top to bottom, the storyline and more or less the vision of the film just was so creative and just amazing in all aspects. And Leo just knocks it out of the park. It was such a creative role for him. Little dialogue, but he sold it good. I mean, it was just, you know, a knockout. And so that's why I had The Revenant sitting in the 9th spot. Moving into the 8th slot, I had a film called Apocalypse Now, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. This is an incredible film. It's a deep psychological war thriller. Martin Sheen stars. Francis Ford Coppola directed. Iconic. And it just, the whole storyline and the whole psychological aspect of what a man can go through in this film was portrayed, and it was just incredible. The storyline and all the whole cast, Robert Duvall, everyone, they just hit it out of the park. There's so many great scenes that just really make you think, you know, and that's why I had Apocalypse Now sitting in the 8th spot. Moving into the 7th spot, kind of sticking on the similar genre, I wanted to have I wanted to have a war movie, and Apocalypse Now is a war movie, but I wanted to have one that really embodied like the war film. I mean, don't get me wrong, Apocalypse Now is below it in the 8th spot, but in the 7th spot, I had Saving Private Ryan. Saving Private Ryan is based on World War II, so that's where I have it just above, just because, you know, Steven Spielberg directed Saving Private Ryan. And I have it a notch above because it is a little better, because the whole opening beach sequence in Saving Private Ryan like rivals like almost any other World War II film, in my opinion. And you know, Tom Hanks starred, Matt Damon, the whole cast, the writing, the storyline, the everything, and that's why I had Saving Private Ryan just above in the 7th slot. Now, moving up to the 6th slot, I had The Godfather Part 2. The second part is my favorite, and so I had Godfather Part 2 in the 6th slot. This one has Robert De Niro added to the cast, and it's just phenomenal. I mean, the whole trilogy itself is iconic, but my personal favorite is the second one. I feel like it is the best one of the whole Godfather trilogy. And so I had this, the whole Corleone, you know, family legacy, the storyline, the writing in the whole series really, but particularly in the second one is why I had The Godfather Part 2 in the 6th slot. Now, the top five is interesting, and this is really hard because, I mean, there's so many films, you know, out there and that are constantly being made. So this list really was hard to craft. And when we get into the nitty gritty of this top 5, these are my like all-time, you know, home run picks. And so here we go. The top 5 in the 5th slot, I had Pulp Fiction. And another thing that I'm basing these off of, you know, is the directors. I have my personal favorite list of directors, and the one and only Quentin Tarantino directed Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction, at this point, is known as a cult classic. Everything from the cast, the writing, the storyline, the directing, the effects for the time. I mean, Pulp Fiction is just a knockout film. One of the greatest films ever made, in my opinion, and that's why I had Pulp Fiction, directed by Quentin Tarantino, and it's my favorite Tarantino movie by far, and it's sitting in the 5th slot. Now, my fourth pick is actually interesting. I wanted to go way back to like the early days of cinema for one of these picks in the top 10 here, and so I went with a legendary film. They rank it as one of the best, if not the best in some regards, and this is a little film called Citizen Kane. And yes, it has my name in it, so I'm a little biased partially, but I also do think that, you know, the name of the film aside, that the storyline, the acting and directing, I mean, Orson Welles directed and starred in it. And the film, it's in black and white. If you've never seen it, you should really watch it because, I mean, you know, from the early days of cinema to have a film come out that was that good, I mean, just, and for the time, so iconic and really revolutionary for all cinematic films to follow. It kind of set a precedent in many ways. And so for that, I had Citizen Kane sitting in the 4th spot. Now, moving into the top 3, I wanted to put a superhero film in this list that embodied all superhero films. And for that, I put Avengers Endgame in the 3rd slot. And I put Avengers Endgame in the 3rd slot because, you know, I truly believe that it embodies, it's essentially the best superhero film, you know, in our modern day, because you have so many various different superhero characters within this one film that all come together in one final battle to defeat one villain, Thanos, right? You know, the Russo brothers just hit it out of the park. I mean, you know, from the storyline, the concept, the heroes themselves, to the effects, you know, some of the best effects that you've ever seen probably were done in this movie, in my opinion. And all of that is why I felt like Endgame should be in the third slot. It rivals any other film, any other superhero film, in my opinion. I mean, just bringing that many characters for one final film, one final battle sequence is just a feat in itself and truly remarkable. And that's why I had Avengers Endgame in the third slot. Now, moving to my top two picks. The second slot, I had a film called Tenet, directed by Christopher Nolan, one of my favorite directors ever. Christopher Nolan hit it out of the park with this one. Tenet, you know, a lot of his other films, I mean, in some regards, it's like one of his previous films, Inception, in some ways, where the concept is just out there. It's wild, right? Inception, crazy concept. Well, with Tenet, I think he set the bar even higher with the concept because, you know, I watched Inception at least 2 times to understand it fully, right? Tenet, I had to watch it 3 or 4 times because personally, it was hard to grasp. There was a lot going on and it was just wild from start to finish. The opening sequence is mind-blowing. And the acting, Robert Pattinson, I mean, everyone in the film did remarkable. Christopher Nolan directed it so well. He had the vision and he executed it. And just for the concept alone is why I had it in the second spot, because the concept is almost like any other film in cinematic history, in my opinion. It's just so out there, so visionary, really, I feel like ahead of our time in some regards. And that's why I had Tenet, directed by Christopher Nolan, in the second spot. And what can we say about the number 1 slot? I mean, what film could possibly be in the number 1 slot? I was breaking this down. I thought long and hard about it. And I feel like the number 1 slot was going to have to be a personal favorite of mine that really embodied cinema as a whole. You know, the storyline was going to have to be epic. The characters were going to have to be well thought out, in depth and detail. The acting was going to be on point. The directing phenomenal. And the effects, man, oh man, I felt like the visual effects had to be good. All this being said, I mean, all this goes into a great film. And in my opinion, the greatest film that I feel like embodies everything I just said is Avatar. And I'm collectively talking about Avatar and its sequel, Avatar 2, The Way of Water, directed by the iconic James Cameron. He's one of my personal favorite directors. I would say top 3 directors, right? And just Avatar, the first one, I mean, he hit it out of the park with the first one because the storyline was totally original, a totally like scratch concept. He generated it out of thin air and created a world, you know, that is Avatar. And he took cinema to a new level, in my opinion. He put everything into the effects almost. I mean, don't get me wrong, the storyline is one of a kind. The acting is impeccable and everything. But let's be honest, he put almost everything he had into the effects, I feel like. And the sequel, who knew that the sequel would be even bigger, in my opinion? It is bigger. It's iconic. The Way of Water, and I thought was even better than the first. You know, I mean, it's a continuation of the story of the first one, right? But they're just phenomenal. Both of them by themselves and together. I mean, the storyline, and I can't wait to see where it goes in the storyline further, the third, the fourth, the fifth. I mean, he's got it's a whole franchise planned out to at least, I think, 4 or 5, right? And it's my favorite franchise in films, Avatar, and its sequel, The Way of Water, directed by James Cameron. And that rounds out my top 10 greatest of all time films. Back to you guys.
From News Channel 15.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on this Monday night. I'm Kyle Peach reporting.
Right now I'm here at the Riverview Stadium, otherwise known as the Snake Pit.
Well, that wintry precip south of 64 happened last night, and White and Hamilton.
Now the spin, now hands out. Shalana Wagner, top of the key, nothing but the bottom.
Hello and welcome to the Not So Late Show.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Sports Cubed.
That does it for us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.
When life gets boring, music can make us excited. But are your playlists too boring and you desperately need new music? Well, 89.1 The Bash can help. 89.1 The Bash has your new favorite alternative pop, throwback, and rock music that'll get you moving. Can't listen on the radio? Listen to us on our website, bashradio.com, where you'll be able to meet the DJs and see who's providing you with the best music content live. Listen to 89.1 The Bash, today's hit alternative.
Welcome back into the Film Reel. That's a wrap on Kane Jones for Season 4 of the Film Reel. Thank you so much to Kane for coming in and doing those extra segments with us this season. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
He started the show with me back in 2019, and it's been awesome to have him back for Season 4. But now we're going to be moving on into a big one.
Yeah.
We're going to be ranking the top 18 movies and TV show that we covered throughout Season 4 of the Film Reel.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a lot. We both ranked them separately, and then we came together and made our definitive list because we realized it was gonna be way too complicated if we did both of our lists.
And some of our opinions have changed over the summer, just slightly. So, if this doesn't line up with what we've said before, just know that, art is subjective, people change. Things happen.
So we're going to start at the bottom and work our way to the top. I think things will probably get more and more obvious as we get closer to the top. Coming in at number 18 is Secret Invasion. We covered the first episode of this Marvel limited series. Oh my God, and that's the image that we chose to use. We weren't super into the first episode, and it only got worse from there. It's honest. The series finale of this is the lowest rated MCU thing ever. It just completely went off the rails. Secret Invasion, for those who don't know, is like a huge Infinity War level event in the comics.
Yes.
And they kind of just relegated it to this 6-episode miniseries with no build up or anything at all. So a lot of the reveals that were in this just felt like okay. And it felt like a lot of the times they were just killing off characters just because, and none of the character deaths that were in this felt satisfying or good or emotional in any shape, way, or form. And also the weird stuff with the AI opening credits, that disgusting looking.
It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. The idea for a Nick Fury-centered story is kind of interesting, but I only watched the first episode, and it's a snooze fest.
Definitely coming in at number 18 at the bottom spot there. Coming in at number 17 is The Little Mermaid. It's the same film, but worse. And much worse.
Much worse.
Halle Bailey absolutely kills it in the role. She's absolutely phenomenal. Everything else is horrible. Not horrible, but it's just so it doesn't add anything. There's no reason for this film to exist besides a cash grab from Disney. It doesn't feel like it expanded upon The Little Mermaid at all. I know it's a retelling and it's a reboot, but
I feel like they tried to add a few things that weren't in the original, just so
but they weren't good. Like the Scuttlebutt
No,
song.
none of it was good, really. And they were trying to fix problems that people saw as problems, and overall it just falls flat and it looks ugly.
Visually not pleasing at all. We've had films like Aquaman and Avatar: The Way of Water, gorgeous, underwater worlds and cities. And, this is The Little Mermaid. This is made by Disney. So was Avatar: The Way of Water. So you'd think that they kind of have this technology on lock or whatever, but the underwater world in The Little Mermaid just looked so bland. And that was the one thing I was actually kind of looking forward to. It was at least this will be cool. But that didn't even look good.
They just know people are gonna buy a ticket anyway, so they don't really try anymore on these.
So that is exactly why Little Mermaid, it comes in at number 17. And now moving on to number 16, we just covered it last week, Haunted Mansion, another Disney reboot, revival film based off of the theme park ride. What an absolute snoozer. I mean, I said it last week, I'll say it again. I felt it was about 2 hours. I felt like I was in there for 4. The characters are fine. The actual portrayals are good. But otherwise than that, there's literally nothing I think I enjoyed about the film at all. Like maybe the set. I like the set pieces.
Yeah,
I'll give them the set pieces.
It's a safe, slick film made by a committee. It doesn't feel like there's one personal touch at hand. It just, God, I can't see myself going back to this one ever.
Yeah, ever. I don't think this is a film that I only watched because we were covering it on the show.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have even watched this if it went straight to Disney Plus. Didn't interest me at all from the trailers. Still doesn't interest me after watching it. So that's why it comes in at number 16. Coming in at number 15 is Fast X, the first part of the maybe 3-part finale of the Fast and Furious saga. Just an absolutely ridiculous movie. It's definitely not bad.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not good either. It's just so over the top, so unrealistic. But it's a movie, so of course it's gonna be I'm not expecting this to be like real life here.
Yeah.
But these are supposed to be like real people, but they somehow have superpowers, but they don't. Like Dom Toretto can pick up a car with one arm, but he doesn't. He's not a superhero. He's just a guy. He's just.
That's the appeal to these movies.
Yeah,
Fast and Furious is not about being realistic, but the family, the people, the core, the characters, those are supposed to be true to each other. That is what holds the series like glue. And this film kind of just rips all that characterization apart.
Yeah.
And these characters just feel like hollow versions of what they once were. And that, for me, is the real bummer. I don't need these films to be realistic.
That's not what I'm saying either. I'm not expecting, but whenever Dom Toretto's picking up a car with one hand,
awesome.
he's not Captain America. If it was established that somehow, when they went to space they got superpowers, then sure. But it wasn't, he's just supposed to be a person like you and me, except way bigger,
It's Vin Diesel, dude.
But I don't think Vin Diesel himself is capable of picking up a 2-ton vehicle.
I agree, but I do think Dom Toretto is. So that's where we differ.
Well, I guess so. So that's why we have Fast X. The number 15. Number 14, we have Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. This film looked super cute. It looks like a lot of fun, and then it wasn't.
The animation's great. The rubber hose style, it's classic. It's cute, but it is just such a cliche plot, and it's so boring. And all those needle drops, like we've been saying, it's just aggravating to all heck.
Very, very unfortunate. The first 10 minutes I was super into it, and then it kept going, and I was kind of out of it. So that's why that comes in at number 14. Number 13, another disappointing one, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I mean, this is supposed to be the grand finale for real this time of the Indiana Jones saga, and it just feels so forced, so unnecessary. I mean, you get to the end of the film, and it's just we didn't need any of this.
Yeah.
We didn't need to be here.
I really hated this going in, after leaving the theater.
Yeah.
And after a while, I think my appreciation has grown a little bit for it, especially the last 20 minutes or so. But I don't know. This is my least favorite Indiana Jones movie.
Same.
It didn't have to happen.
Yep, super, super unnecessary. I mean, Harrison Ford's great. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is great. But Harrison Ford's character, Indiana Jones doesn't really go anywhere. I mean, we don't really get to. He doesn't really develop at all any further than stuff that we already got from the fourth film of him being older and how to manage with that. And stuff like that.
Yeah, the best part of this movie is when he's just an old guy that these people are like, oh, you're old, just leave.
Yeah.
You don't need to be in movies
the
anymore.
15 minutes of the film.
Yeah, those parts are cute. That's fun.
Yeah, after the prologue.
But that whole, I mean, it's only a little bit, but like that whole stretch of his arc is probably what I connected with the most. But I just, it's way too long. All the set pieces blend together. It's just boring.
It's very odd to kind of look back at this and go like, I kind of wish they ended at Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
Crystal Skull, comparatively, I thought was actually a pretty good ending to his character.
Not too bad.
At least compared to this. So, that's why we got Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny at number 13. Number 12 is Insidious: The Red Door. Going into this, I had no idea what to think about this. I wasn't really familiar with the franchise. And then going in and then watching the film, I thought, the overall concept was pretty interesting. I liked, the world and the sort of, the other universe kind of aspect to it, but the dialogue was just super cringe. The story doesn't really move very well. It just kind of feels like molasses a little bit. But I do like the characters and the relationships and the overall universe, but overall I just couldn't really get into this one either.
Yeah, I definitely think this is on par for the course for the other, first two Insidious movies at least. I just went into this one just after watching the first two for the first time, and I don't think this series is great, but it is interesting, has some cool ideas here and there, and this one I think is the most visually appealing. It has some great visuals, but it's a little watered down. There's not much there.
So that's why we got Insidious: The Red Door at number 12. Coming in at number 11 is Disney Pixar's Elemental, the movie that just wouldn't go away in the box office. It came out and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, this is a big disaster," and then it was there again and again and again and again. So overall, it didn't actually, compared to the other summer blockbusters that came out this year, it didn't end up doing too horrible. It became the second highest grossing, I believe, it was the highest grossing Disney film since Frozen 2.
Yeah.
Kind of out of left field, but Elemental was a fun time. I liked seeing Pixar go full on into romance. I thought the Elemental world was really cool, and how the characters interacted with each other or didn't interact with each other, which was a big part of the movie. Overall, I really liked the world. I liked the characters. It's not the greatest Pixar movie of all time, but still a pretty decent one.
It's cute. I like all those ideas in theory, but in execution, it just kind of feels like a lame attempt to try to recreate what Pixar's already done in other better movies. So for me, I think this one falls a little flat, but I wouldn't say it's a bad time. I don't think it's for me.
Coming in at number 10, we have Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. I think it's one of the best Transformers movies. There's not very steep competition, but I thought this one was very solid. I really liked the Maximals in this. I thought they were kind of interesting. I've never really been super into the Beast Wars stuff, but I thought these designs here were really cool. I really liked Optimus's arc throughout the film, especially with his relationship with the human character. There's some teases in this that hint at some crossovers with other Hasbro properties and franchises, which I think is really cool, that they're kind of doing some sort of Hasbro cinematic universe. I think that could be really neat. But overall, I think it's a pretty decent addition to the Transformers franchise, and that's why we have it at number 10. Number 9 was a surprise one. I didn't know what to really expect from this one either, but it was Joyride, the comedy. This was a lot of fun.
So great. It's just a wonderful comedy to see in the theaters. And it sucks that it pretty much left theaters about
it
a
never
week
even
or
made the
two
top
in.
5. Yeah.
It was a bummer, but this movie was just a great time. It was so funny.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Joyride. I'm not usually super into comedies. I usually find them unfunny and stupid.
Yeah.
But this one didn't really feel like that. There was definitely plenty of laugh out loud moments for me in the theater, and that's why we have it at number 9. Coming in at number 8, maybe a little low for some of you, but Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Mr. Impossible.
I've just got some gripes.
I know you do. I know.
Man, I'm historically against Part 1 movies, and what pains me is that this is finally what I wanted from a Part 1 movie, but I just didn't get the Mission Impossible stuff I wanted out of it.
Yeah.
I like the action was there. It feels like a complete story, which is usually my gripes with the Part 1 movies. But, with just the sort of the character assassination of Rebecca Ferguson's character, the stunts were great, but we get to learn a little bit more about Ethan Hunt, but I can't really say anything about that until the next one because it was just teases.
Yeah.
And then we got the "Where's Ethan Hunt" guy the whole time.
That guy's awesome.
No, he's not.
That guy's
one
so
of the
cool.
dumbest
I
characters
love
in
that
film.
guy. So funny.
There's a character who literally does nothing at all to serve the plot except fail to find Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
Very, very annoying for me. But those are my thoughts. I'll let you get into yours because I know you definitely like the film a little bit more than I do.
And this one's definitely grown on me since I've watched it. I definitely need to see it again before it leaves theaters. And I just thinking about it more on the terms of like the villain kind of trying to like counteract Ethan and his crew by like trying to make an anti-Mission Impossible movie. Like, oh, you think you're gonna do a Mission Impossible movie? I'm gonna try to stop you every step of the way. So that's why, for me, when I like first watched it, I felt like, it's not doing the things I usually love in these movies. And now when I think about it, I'm like, oh, it's kind of talking about like its relationship with everything that's come before that. And in that respect, I kind of love it even more. And
I'm glad that you can see it that way.
Yeah. And I love that guy too.
Yeah.
He's great.
Well, you know what? I'm glad that you were able to enjoy it a little bit more than I did.
Yeah.
But that's why we have it at number 8.
He drives a motorcycle off a cliff.
Look, what the greatest stunts in film history, probably.
He does the train Uncharted thing where he jumps up
like
off the
that
train.
stunt is phenomenal. I'm definitely and let me say this: Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 is still a good film.
Yeah.
It just was under what I was expecting from it.
He runs so fast.
He runs so fast in all the other ones too.
On top of an airport.
But coming in at number 7 is The Flash. Okay. And listen,
guys.
We can have our thoughts on Ezra Miller. We can have our thoughts on the deepfake AI dead actors in it. Definitely not a huge fan of either of those.
We are not fans.
Yeah, not
We
fans.
are
Not fans of those two aspects of the film.
No.
But as a film, just as a film, as a story, I think this is a really, really great superhero film. I think it's a shame that it underperformed so disastrously. It's one of the biggest box office bombs in the history of cinema.
Yeah.
And it's a shame for the other people, not Ezra Miller, and whoever's idea it was to use dead actors through AI. But the other like probably like hundreds of or maybe even thousands of people who, probably just hundreds, of people who worked on this film, so hard and so diligently. I mean, they made a pretty decent film.
Yeah.
In fact, I think a great film, but nobody went to go see it, so.
Now, I've soured on my opinion of this film just a little bit, because I was chasing a high at the start when I first watched it. I was like, oh, this is great. Now I'm like, it's pretty good in places. I think the first half is fantastic. The directing by Andy Muschietti is just incredible. It's so funny, so fast-paced. All the Flash, all the Flash stuff is like exactly what I would want from a movie called The Flash.
Yeah.
And I think it handles all that perfectly. But I definitely think that last half drags, and when you start introducing the other heroes, for me, that's when it loses me. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it's one of the greatest third acts in the history of film, but I definitely don't think it's anywhere near as bad as what people have been saying it is. We can, like I said, we can talk about the AI, deepfake, whatever, all we want, but the fact of the matter is that's like a minute of the film. You know, so it's a very, very small,
It
non-important part of the film. So I don't really, knock it too much for that.
But if superheroes movies start to get as goofy as that first half does, my life will be set.
It's
That's
definitely
all I
very
want.
fun.
I just want superhero movies to be Looney Tunes. That's all I need. All right, next one.
But yeah, so that's why we have Flash at number 7. Coming in at number 6, we just talked about it, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Such a fun film. We've already reviewed it today, so we're not going to talk about it too much. But yeah, definitely one of, if it could honestly be the best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. I just have a little minor issues with some of the characterization of the turtles, but overall, it's a really fun.
Love those turtles. Go Ninja, go, as he would say.
But now, coming in at number 5, the first film we covered on the Film Reel Season 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. What a fantastic ending to this trilogy. Honestly, cementing Guardians of the Galaxy as one of the greatest superhero trilogies of all time. James Gunn knocked it out of the park as usual with this one. I cannot wait to see what he does with DC after this. Everything wraps up really nice, but it also sets up room for some of the other characters to return in the future if they want. So yeah, definitely a phenomenal film.
For real. I think Endgame ended everybody off on a high note, and then they're being like, oh, that part ended. I can't wait for the next saga or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is the official, for many of us, emotional ending. Like, this is going to be the last one that feels as good as any of these have ever had.
Yeah.
And I think it's a triumph that James Gunn was able to end a story in this huge universe that never ends. I can't believe he did it, and it's fantastic. It's a great movie.
Yeah, phenomenal film. Might be my favorite Guardians film of the trilogy.
That's valid.
Absolutely great film.
I can see it.
At number 5. Coming in at number 4 is Asteroid City, probably the most creative film, the most compelling film out of all the films that we've covered on the Film Reel Season 4. I think it took me a little while for my brain to kind of wrap its head around this one. I definitely want to rewatch this maybe once or twice to really get my head around it, but I had a really fun time with this.
Yeah, I want to rewatch it like 5 times. Probably.
Yeah, I know you love this one.
This one's so good. It's one of my favorites of the year. I just think Wes Anderson knows exactly what he's doing, and this one really cements to me like him looking inward and seeing like everything that's been going on with his career up to this point. And I think this movie came in a time of reflection when we were all in lockdown. And he's like, why should I keep telling these same stories that like the same way that I usually tell it, Yeah. And all that stuff is great. I love all the meta commentary, and it's just, it's the stacked cast. They're all incredible. They all get a time to shine. It's just such a delight.
Absolutely. So definitely, we have Asteroid City at number 4, and everyone, here it is, the top 3 you're never going to believe.
You're never going to guess.
You're never going to guess what's in the top 3. So starting off, surprise, at number 3 is Oppenheimer, starring everyone ever. Honestly, all 4, this whole top 4 is basically like that. But Oppenheimer, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, biopic I've ever seen.
It's probably going to win the Oscar for Best Picture.
Maybe.
I think it will.
Maybe.
It's going to be,
I think it was absolutely thought-provoking, devastating. Especially having the Barbenheimer experience, watching those two back-to-back.
Yeah.
I watched Barbie, then I watched Oppenheimer. And then, you need some recovery time.
Yeah.
After watching those. And it really makes you think. You really get to get into the mind of J. Robert Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan knocks it out of the park. It's definitely
one of his best.
Definitely my favorite film of his that I've seen so far. I haven't seen all of his films, but of the ones I've seen, it's definitely my favorite.
I've definitely been lukewarm on Christopher Nolan as of late. I don't love his films, but this one really reminded me of why he's one of the best working today. His technical prowess is just off the charts. His ideas of like how to tell a story is just fantastic. This whole thing is just like 3-hour-long montage, pretty much.
But it doesn't feel like
it. Doesn't feel like
3
it,
hours.
but it like moves and it keeps going and it doesn't really get slow for a second.
Yeah.
It's just, it's such a good movie.
Yes,
It's so
absolutely. If you haven't seen it already, definitely be sure to check it out. That's why we have Oppenheimer at number 3.
And check it out, the biggest screen you can.
Here we go. But coming in at number 2, surprise, Barbie. You know, the other half of Barbenheimer. Just one of the most fun films I've seen this year. Just an absolute treat. Margot Robbie absolutely kills it. Ryan Gosling absolutely kills it. Greta Gerwig absolutely kills it as director. What a fun film, but also a very thought-provoking film at the same time. You know, it has a message, it has a meaning, but it's not, you know, it's not like forceful about it. Like it's not like down your throat about it. I mean, if you're a normal person, I think you should you should be able to really get behind this film and the message behind it. I thought it was absolutely great. I knew I was gonna love this film. I didn't know I was gonna love it this much. That's Barbie.
I just it brings me such delight to have a movie this like I don't know, classic Hollywood, like classic blockbuster, just be so well received right off the bat. It's the movie this summer, and it gives me hope that maybe someday we'll return to some blockbusters that aren't just all CGI sludge.
Well, and the fact that this film is the only film of this entire list that's going to make $1 billion is saying something, you know? I mean, absolutely amazing.
And it deserves it.
It absolutely does deserve it. Honestly, I think Barbie should be put into Oscar contention too. I'm not kidding. Best Picture.
If Ryan Gosling doesn't like get a nomination for Best Actor, there's going to be riots.
Yeah, rightfully so. Barbie is absolutely amazing. That's why we have it at number 2. And number 1, surprising literally no one, is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. A film I believe to be perfect. There's absolutely no way in the world a movie coming out this year will top this. It somehow managed to top the first film, which I consider to be a perfect film. I still don't get it. You know, I still don't understand how they were able to do this, how they were able to recapture the magic once again. But it is just absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
well, no pun intended.
It's amazing. I mean, we both love Spider-Man.
Yes.
You love Spider-Man. Everyone loves Spider-Man. And I feel like this movie just is an extension from like where we went from Into the Spider-Verse, where that one was talking about our relationship to the character and how really when you think about it, anyone can be Spider-Man. It doesn't matter. But like this new one takes that even further and like, what kind of stories do we want from Spider-Man? Do we want the same ones over and over again, or are we ready for new ones? And I think it's one of the best things we've gotten from Spider-Man in a long time.
It's the best Spider-Man movie of all time. It's one of the best superhero movies of all time. It's one of the best animated films of all time. I know he disagrees about the Spider-Man part.
Spider-Man 2's better.
But just an absolutely phenomenal film. If you somehow have not seen this movie yet, please watch it. It's absolutely amazing. And I cannot wait to see how they're going to wrap things up with Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. I cannot imagine how they're going to top this one, but they did it. You know? They've done it already. And so it seems like it's possible. So I cannot wait to see what they do with that. And that rounds up our top 18 movies in show that we covered throughout the course of the Film Reel Season 4. When we come back, we're going to wrap things up here on the Film Reel Season 4 and kind of give our thoughts on the season as a whole and the summer as a whole. Stay tuned for that.
News Channel 15, winner of the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System Award for the nation's best community college TV station.
Summer is heating up, and so are the savings at Timberlake Furniture. The 2023 summer sale is underway. Take 23% off of all closeout items. Make sure you have the best indoor escape from the summer heat. Check out our large selection of bedroom suites from the name brands you know and trust. And be prepared to entertain this summer by browsing the area's largest selection of dining room sets. Visit the Tri-State's largest showroom with the largest selection of Timberlake furniture so your house feels like home.
Before coming to Senior Enrichment Center, I was so depressed that I couldn't get out of bed. That all changed once I started seeing Danielle, the social worker, and Melanie, the nurse. They have been so kind and they truly care about my health. They have helped me to be able to go out and have shown me the importance of how to deal with my problems in a more constructive way. I think anyone who is experiencing grief, depression, anxiety, or isolation can benefit from this program. The Senior Enrichment Center has changed my life.
Have your weather radio, have a flashlight with batteries in it, make sure your cell phone's charged, know where you're going to go when bad weather hits. Go to the lowest interior room in your house and wait the storm out. After the storm, if your power's out or if there's any kind of dangerous situation or anything like that, call Mount Carmel Public Utility Company. As you go outside to survey the damage a little bit, just make sure to stay away from down power lines.
For over a century, the First National Bank has been here, serving our local communities. We're proud to still be locally owned and managed, with friendly customer service from people that you know and trust. We're here to support our neighbors, investing in our communities. We're proud to provide the latest in digital banking technology, serving as your complete financial partner. Visit us online at fnba.bank or stop by one of our convenient locations in Allendale, Mount Carmel, Carmine, or West Salem today. The First National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
College doesn't have to start at an expensive school far away. You can save money and be close to home at Wabash Valley College. Many careers only require a 2-year degree or certificate. Or get your general education classes out of the way and transfer to a 4-year school. Wabash Valley College has programs in high-demand careers such as physical therapy assistant, advanced manufacturing, marketing, business management, nursing, and radio television. To find out more about Wabash Valley College, go to iecc.edu/WVC.
When life gets boring, music can make us excited. But are your playlists too boring and you desperately need new music? Well, 89.1 The Bash can help. 89.1 The Bash has your new favorite alternative pop, throwback, and rock music that'll get you moving. Can't listen on the radio? Listen to us on our website, bashradio.com, where you'll be able to meet the DJs and see who's providing you with the best music content live. Listen to 89.1 The Bash, today's hit alternative.
From News Channel 15.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on this Monday night. I'm Kyle Peach reporting.
Right now I'm here at the Riverview Stadium, otherwise known as the Snake Pit.
Well, that wintry precip south of 64 happened last night, and White and Hamilton.
Now the spin, now hands out. Shalana Wagner, top of the key, nothing but the bottom.
Hello and welcome to the Not So Late Show.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Sports Queued.
That does it for us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.
Welcome back into the Film Reel Season 4 finale. We're going to wrap things up here today and for this season, kind of giving a little bit of a retrospective, talking about, some of the things and the events that happened over the course of this 4th season of the Film Reel and just like over the summer in general. Obviously, we've gone over our rankings for every movie and show that we covered throughout the film. So we're not going to be getting into like our thoughts too much, but more so performance and different events that happened over the course of the past few months. So I mean, I think one of the most glaring things is just the overall underperformance of most of the films that we've talked about throughout the entire course of this season. For a non-COVID year, of course, COVID still exists, but in a year in which we don't have to wear masks everywhere we go, we don't have to social distance everywhere we go. Yeah. In a somewhat normal year, this is a pretty abysmal summer blockbuster season.
I said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think people are willing to go out to see trash anymore.
Yeah.
They've been spoon-fed all these movies, and now like just being a superhero movie isn't going to take it anymore.
Yes.
I feel like the studios have been taking like us, the fans, for granted for a little while now, and so, we'll show up to any superhero movie.
Yeah.
Let's just slap one of those bad boys on there, and you'll show up.
Yeah.
And now I feel like they've been so bad that people just aren't going to show up anymore. And for people that aren't like us, that aren't as plugged in to movie going and such, the way they hear about this is like through word of mouth. And so if something is big, like Barbie or Oppenheimer, they're going to hear about that.
Yeah.
But like some of the other stuff, they'll be like, oh, well, I don't have to watch that. I can wait for it to get on the streaming, you know?
Well, but let's think about this for a second.
Okay.
The last Disney-made Marvel film that came out before the pandemic was Avengers Endgame, which became the highest-grossing film of all time. It got topped by Avatar and then went back down. But
Far From Home?
But that wasn't made by Disney.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The last Disney-made Marvel movie was Avengers Endgame. It at one point was the highest-grossing film of all time. And let's think about this.
Okay.
Disney Plus didn't exist.
No, it didn't.
Whenever Avengers Endgame came out, and that was the last pre-COVID Disney-made Marvel film.
Yeah, everything's changed.
Since then, we've had Disney Plus, and people, we've had Paramount Plus, we've had Peacock, we've had Max, and people have gotten used to, I can just watch these movies at home on my favorite streaming service, or I can just wait a few weeks, once this movie's been out for so long, and I can just wait for it to come to streaming, you know? Because a lot of people have most of the streaming services. They just, instead of TV, they just, get all the streaming platforms. And honestly, I don't blame them. Like, I feel like a lot of these films that we covered this year would have been a major skip for me if we weren't doing this show. I would have just waited for them to come out on streaming.
Some of them, there's no reason to come see some of these.
Especially Haunted Mansion.
Haunted Mansion, Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny, Ruby Gillman.
Yeah, a lot of these films, feel like films that, could have just gone straight to streaming. And they weren't because, we're trying to get the box office back up rolling again after COVID and after having, a few years where these type of movies did go direct to streaming because there was no other choice.
Yeah.
But now there is, but, people are still, in streaming mode. And I think it's going to be really, really hard to get them out of it.
Unless something good comes around and they know it's going to be good and they're actually enticed by something. And I feel like...
And this summer we only had a handful of those.
Yeah, I like the last 2 years I felt like, it's still like movies are still getting back on their feet. There's a few hits. Last year especially I was like, we're almost there. Like I feel like we're almost back. This year it really cemented to me when Barbie and Oppenheimer came out and everyone came flooding back for two movies that were like creatively resonant by two great directors and just teams and crews that like really stuck to their own specific visions and didn't really like adhere to any studio meddling too much. When people were wanting to go see those the most out of everything this summer, that kind of brought me hope. So like you said, for the most part, it's kind of a bomb summer for most of these for the box office. But I think we're kind of sending the studios a message right now, like,
don't release garbage or release films that we've already seen before that you're just remaking again.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're so back, like we're getting there, like we're almost there.
Hope so, but there might be another bump in the road because we have another circus that's been going on, and that's the studios not wanting to pay their writers, not wanting to pay their actors, or just bringing actors in just so they can deep fake them for the rest of the time and not pay them for that. But let's talk about that real quick.
A long-needed strike.
Yes, and we're already seeing the effects of it. Actors aren't able to promote their own films. Haunted Mansion, I think, would have done not a lot better, but better if they were able to do press for it, you know, but they weren't able to do any press coverages because their entire cast was on strike. You know, that's going to be a major issue for a lot of films coming out later on in the fall and winter, if they come out. Because we've already seen Sony delay almost their whole slate of films back because of this writer's strike and because they know their actors aren't going to be able to come in and do press to promote their films.
We're going to get to a point really soon, if it hasn't already hit already, where the studios are going to start losing more money than they would have if they just paid their creatives what they wanted in the first place. Just a livable wage to keep making the entertainment that they love, that they know we love.
Because I think there's definitely a major misconception that, you know, oh, they're a writer or they're an actor on this big movie or this big TV show, which means that they must be like a billionaire or a millionaire or whatever, which in pretty much most cases is not the case.
Unless they're like an A-list movie
Unless
star.
they're The Rock, you know.
Then of course they're getting paid out the wazoo. But a lot of like background actors and just character actors in general just do not get enough money to like live.
Speaking of The Rock, I don't know if we clown on The Rock too much on it, but I've clowned on The Rock at some point just talking to people. But kudos to The Rock for donating apparently the largest donation in history to these. I think it was the Actors Guild. You know, so these actors can continue to live and eat food and live in their apartments and homes during this strike. You know, much to the dismay of Bob Iger. Man, what an absolute clown. I mean,
dude, the studio executives already played their hands so fast that they pretty much told us all that they don't really care. They think, well, they maybe don't think this, but they were threatening to be like, oh, you guys are going to go broke before.
One of them did. One of them went to Deadline and said, hey, we're gonna wait this out until the writers start losing their homes and can't afford to buy food.
And it
like,
just
what?
It illustrates how like ignorant these people are and that they really don't know anything about this business.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Just absolutely abhorrent, evil behavior. Like this
Super
is like
villain
super villain-like behavior from a lot of these studio execs. Bob Iger was one of the most outspoken ones. The one who gave the quote to Deadline was anonymous. With some of Bob Iger's public statements, and it seems possible it could have been him. You know, it seems like things hopefully might be turning around for the better. It seems like conversations might be starting up back again here soon. So hopefully everybody can come to a deal to where the writers and the actors are able to, you know, do the work that they are hired to do, but also be able to provide for their families, for themselves, and be able to have a livable wage. Because I mean, some of the stories I've heard have just been like one actor in particular receiving a $0.00 residual check from Disney.
Oh God.
You know, in general, streaming residuals are like virtually non-existent.
Nothing.
So that's something that needs to be fixed. AI use in writing and creating humans is kind of scary. That's definitely something that needs to be figured out.
They deserve more than what they're asking for right now. They deserve so much more. And I just hope that the studios come to their senses at some point soon. And then, hey, maybe we'll start getting the stuff that we like to review even faster.
Yeah, because let's make one thing very clear. If your favorite movie or TV show or whatever gets delayed due to this writer's strike, it's not the fault of the writer.
Nope.
It's not the fault of the actors. It's not the fault of the director or whoever. It's the fault of the studios.
Yes.
You know, they're the ones causing this. They're the ones not paying their people who make them their money the proper livable amount that they need to have. So.
They don't know how to make movies.
Hopefully, by the time that we're able to talk about this again, things will be figured out. But with that being said, that's going to wrap things up here on the Film Reel Season 4. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been an absolute honor, an absolute pleasure. When the film reel originally ended back last season in 2021, I was pretty much content that that was going to be it. We were never going to do any more, and that part of my life was behind me. Whenever we started planning this thing out, it was like one of those, like, it didn't feel real. Like, it felt like, oh, we're not actually going to do this. This is just something we're talking about, you know. But then we've done it. It's over. You know, this is it. This is season 4. I think this is the greatest season we've done yet. I'm super proud of everything we've done. We had our most viewed episode of all time. Thank you to 13,000 of you on Facebook for tuning in to the Transformers episode. Our Barbenheimer episodes were so fun. Ian, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the film reel. Congratulations on helping me with this amazing season. We couldn't have done it without you, seriously. So congratulations to you.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Yes.
Bryce started talking about this. He was so filled with passion about this show, and I was like, you know what? I got to go on. This sounds so much fun, and it has been. It's been a blast to record this every single week.
Thank you to our director and executive producer, Eli Grimes, for helping us out with all this, and Kyle Peach for letting us do this again. It's been an absolute pleasure. So with that being said, that's a wrap on Ian Lloyd. That's a wrap on Bryce West for the Film Reel Season 4, and we will see you once again soon for the Film Reel Season 5.